From the Sky News Centre at 3, 2 men are in hospital after being stabbed in the Golders Green area of North. Community groups report a man was seen running down a road with a knife targeting members of the Jewish community. Sir Keir Starmer's called it an anti-Semitic attack, which he says is utterly appalling. Anti-terrorism police are leading the investigation. Our correspondent Lisa Hollands at the scene.
A man was apprehended by police officers on suspicion of stabbing 2 people in the Jewish community. Now, it all started to unfold late morning. 2 men were stabbed, one in their 70s and one in their 30s.
Alex Hearns from the campaign group Labour Against Anti-Semitism.
We're in a situation now where, when going to Jewish events, some parents calculate that only one of them should go in case something happens. Jews are being ghettoised. We're being put behind high fences, and synagogues and Jewish schools have become fortresses.
The victims are in a stable condition. In other news, Cheshire Police have made several arrests over an investigation into a religious group in Crewe. Several members of the Ahmadi religion of peace and light are being questioned. A woman's been convicted of stabbing her sister 10 times and leaving her body in a flat, her mouth covered with gaffer tape. Nancy Pexton took a gold Rolex watch from her sister's home in Camden in London last year. The UK's biggest firm, AstraZeneca, is going to invest £300 million in large-scale projects in the country. It paused spending on them last year because of what was described as the business environment in Britain. The owner of Coat is closing in on a rescue of the real Greek restaurant chain. It's understood the deal would involve the closure of roughly half its sites. And Millie Bright is retiring from football. The 32-year-old Chelsea captain has been struggling with injuries. She helped England win the Euros in 2022. That's the latest. I'm Laura Safe.
Right across the city on FM and around the world online, this is Unity 101. Tube's hyperspeed broadband allows you to download movies and dramas in seconds for just £25 a month. Get started today at toob.co.uk.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Police and Crime Commissioners Community Hour. This programme contains phone calls and comments from members of the public and selected invited guests. And it's important to remember at all times that any views and opinions expressed are individual opinions from these people and not those on Unity 101. Educational, discussions, informative, entertaining. The Community Hour. This is Unity 101.
Welcome to the Community Hour on Unity 101, South's leading Asian and ethnic radio station, broadcasting on 101.1 FM, online at unity101.org and on DAB across Hampshire and Dorset. I'm Geeta Uppal, Senior Access and Outreach Officer at Southampton Solent University, and in today's Community Hour, I'm in conversation with my guests Zoe Green and Rozenn Ghorbanian, who are Senior International Partnerships Officers, with Stan Ronchev, International Student Advisor, and Gemma Moss, Undergraduate Student, all from Southampton Solent University. And today we'll be talking about all things international. You can also be part of the discussion with your questions and comments, so please contact the studio on 023 8023 5055. So with this, I'd like to welcome my guest. Welcome Zoe, Rozenn, Gemma, and Stan.
Thank you, Geeta.
Thank you. Great. And can I just say thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here to talk to our listeners on Unity 101. So I'm going to kick off with the first question with you, Zoe. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about your background and where you're from?
Hi, thank you for having us, Geeta. My name is Zoe, and originally I'm from Trinidad and Tobago and in the Caribbean. And my professional background, I studied at Solent University a few moons ago, and I have worked within the UK recruitment for Solent University, and then shifted over to international recruitment, and now I work within the international partnership side of Solent University.
Thank you, Zoe. And Rozenn?
Hi, Geeta. I'm Rozenn.
Can I just ask you to come a little bit closer? Yeah. Thank you.
So I'm Rozenn. I'm originally from France, and I came here when I was 19. I came to learn English, and I studied international studies in London. After many years of teaching languages, I then ended up at Solent, and I now work in the international office and my job concerns international mobility, so students going abroad and welcoming those who are coming from abroad.
Thank you very much, Rozenn. And then over to you, Gemma. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and where you're from?
Hi, I'm Gemma. I'm originally from Essex, so I'm from England, and I am currently in my final year, not got long left, we've got about 2 weeks left, studying business management with marketing at Solent University.
Thank you. And finally, Stan.
Thanks, Geeta. So I'm originally from Bulgaria. I came here to study at Bournemouth University. I did business. During my study, I got involved quite a lot in the Student Ambassador Scheme. And this is where I got interested in continuing working in the education sector. So shortly after my graduation, I landed a job at Solent University, working in the residences, and then I slowly moved myself more towards the international department.
Wonderful, thank you. And you are all very welcome. So I'm going to come back to you, Zoe, and you spoke about the range of roles you've held at Solent University, and currently you're working in the Partnerships Office for International. Could you please talk to us a little bit about what your role entails?
Sure. So within my role, within the International Partnerships Office, which is part of the International Office, I'm a part of a small team where we manage relationships and we identify potential partners for the university. We undertake the due diligence of the potential partner to ensuring the partner's courses are matched well with our courses. So, for example, they are mapped well. We're also responsible for effective recruitment strategies, made sure they are in place for that specific partner.
Thank you. And Rozenn, you're part of the same team. You both have the same title in terms of your job. Does it differ from what Zoe does in terms of what you're responsible within that team?
Yeah, quite a lot actually. I am most student-facing, and I don't simply deal with international students. I deal with any student at Solent, any student who is wanting to take up an opportunity abroad, be it for work, volunteering, studying, or even competitions.
Right.
Because I have a budget, I can give them some money for this, and so anybody can come and talk to me about it.
Wonderful.
And I then look after them and take them through that process.
Great. And we know, Gemma, you've taken those opportunities really, really well. But before we go in and talk about those opportunities, can you talk to us a little bit about, obviously, you're doing business management, you're in your final year, big year for you, finishing very, very soon. Can you sort of tell us about what was your journey to university like, and why Solent?
So my journey was, but to be fair, I think from where I was from, my sixth form was very much like university. A lot of people did go to university, but my sister didn't, so I'm a twin, so she didn't go to university, whereas I did. So yeah, no one was ever really against me going to university. In my head, it was always going to happen. And why Solent was, I originally was going to do sports journalism, and that is what I ended up coming here for. Right. And in my head, I was going to go to Brighton, and that is the place where I wanted to go. And it was only when I came here, because I had to come here for my applicant interview day, when I got speaking to Wilco and seeing all the facilities and everything. And then I was like, no, like Solent, I do want to come here.
Sure.
So yeah, and then I ended up coming over here because just of the facilities and everything. Came with a broken knee as well, so that just added on to everything.
I hope it's mended by now.
Just about. So then did that for a year, and then that's basically it. And then I changed over to business management after first year. But luckily I got to go straight into second year because of my A-level business grade. So
yeah, that was going to be my next question. Was it easy to kind of transfer over?
Yeah, it was actually surprisingly easy. If anything, it was too easy, because when I remember speaking to careers advisor, he literally just said, yeah, you just press a button on Gateway. And I was like, oh, okay. Like the whole point is you're meant to make this really a complicated process. So it's like, harder for me to do it. But when you just said, yeah, do it, I was like, that's crazy. But yeah, no, it was really easy. And luckily from where I got an A in business A-level, it wasn't, first year I didn't have to redo.
Right.
But now I keep saying I'm not ready to graduate, so I could have redone first year, but no, it's fine.
Well, there's always the postgraduate opportunities. So don't give up altogether. Wonderful. And Stan, finally, in terms of, you've had few roles at Solent. You started in residencies and then you sort of moved across to the international team. So your role is international support advisor?
Yes.
And how does that work? What does it entail?
Well, the easiest way to explain it is the bridging role between international students, the university, and the home office. So if you imagine a little triangle between all three of them, I'm sat there in the middle, trying to represent the interest of the student and making sure that their well-being at Solent is up to a standard, and they cope with the different culture in UK.
Of course, yes. So, and we'll be asking you specific questions around that, definitely. So thank you very much for that. So coming back to you then, Zoe. So within your role, we know Rozenn's very much about student-facing, and it's any student, not just international students, and it's the particular programs that you have. So Zoe, in terms of your role within the partnerships team, can you talk to us about sort of what partnerships do you have across the globe? What countries do you work with? And what do you cover?
Yes, of course. So we cover worldwide, but we have partnerships from Norway to India to Spain, Indonesia, Malaysia, just to name a few, Greece, Germany, Africa, just to name a few. It's where there's a good match, there's a good fit, and there's a want to have the partnership. It's where they're all from.
Brilliant. And what kind of activities is it that covers? Is it that they have opportunities to go study? The students have exchange programs with those particular universities in different countries?
It's mostly progression. So they would have studied 2 years at diploma level equivalent within their country, and they can either enter into year 2 or year 3 or the final year at Solent University. So it ranges depending on the course and depending on the country. For example, Norway, we're very creative. It's a very creative transition into Spain. It's, for example, music and technology. Greece, it could be anything. We've mapped those courses so they can come into most of the courses here. Germany, again, the technological side, the media side, just to give an example.
Okay, so those are the key courses that students kind of gravitate towards.
Yes, it depends on the partner and what's their strength, and obviously which degree it can map into.
Map into what they're doing. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And Rozenn, so you look after the funded global opportunities within the team, and so that could be study abroad, volunteer, or work. What is on offer? So can you talk to us a little bit about how the program works? Is it applicable to any course at Solent? What's the process of applying for students?
So I'm going to make a liaison with Zoe, because the reason why we have the same job title is because it does involve partnerships. So originally the role was mainly about student exchange, and student exchange can only be done within a partnership.
Of course.
So we have a number of about 22 at the moment of partners in mainly Europe, but also we have some in Australia and America and Canada. And we have to have an agreement with this partnership agreement. And we agree on this, a number of students that we would exchange every year. And we try to balance this out across several years. And some of our partners, like Canadian partners, we have been partners for 30 years with them. So we have been sending students and receiving students from them for the last 30 years. And this is unfortunately not available for every course. So students who want to go on a study exchange, they would do that in their second year. But we have to find courses abroad with our partners that would match the same learning outcome as if they stayed at Solent. And similarly, the students who come from abroad would have to find, their tutors have to agree that the courses at Solent match what they would have done if they stayed in their universities. And we have a small number of students who come every year. We have very few this year. I think currently we have only about 8, which is one of the lowest number ever. It really varies from year to year. We used to get a lot more before Brexit.
Yes. The B word.
Yes, not trying to be political, but it was a lot easier.
Sure.
It's a question of visa and a financial requirement and all these things which stop students now from coming. Or from our students from going to Europe.
Of course.
But we've always had students going to Canada as well. We have 4 partners in Canada, and our students really like going there. Mainly because the language is similar and the culture is similar, and they don't mind the cold.
Yes, of course.
So this is for study, and not all courses, we'd find equivalent. I mean, for example, sports journalism is a very specific course, and there's only one university in our partners that would have something equivalent, and it's in near Barcelona in Spain. And then music business would have to be in the Netherlands, because there
Right.
is a course in the Netherlands that is very similar, but because Solent has very specific courses, it's quite difficult sometimes. But business management students like Gemma
Yes.
can go absolutely anywhere. So that's the beauty of it. And they are the ones who tend to go. Their course leader, Sally, really encourages students to go and study abroad. So every year we have students from that course.
Okay.
But the other opportunities are to all students. They can go and work abroad in the summer, particularly. Some or many will go and do camps in America.
Yes.
And then also there are volunteering opportunities, and Gemma will tell you a lot more about both the camp and the volunteering opportunities. In that case, I don't really, students can come with anything. I
Right.
present some ideas, but they can go anywhere in the world with any organization. I just give them the funding.
Right.
As long as they go for more than 2 weeks,
Right.
they're eligible for some funding, and this is what I manage for
Brilliant.
this.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. So, Gemma, you've taken opportunity of everything Rozenn has just said here, volunteering. You started with volunteering, I understand?
Yeah, I did.
Great. Can you talk to us through about your, the study or the volunteering abroad? How did it all start? Where did you first go?
So I kind of signed up on the whim. So I remember I was actually catching a train to go back home, because at the time it was right after my second knee operation, so I was on one crutch. And I literally remember just walking past the store after getting text from a couple of my friends being like, oh, we've signed up for Think Pacific. And then I was like, well, what's Think Pacific? And they're like, well, so something to do with Fiji, go over there, but the uni can give you funding for it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I went over, met up with Sienna, who I still talk to today, and then she told me about it and about a sport development project. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'll sign up. Not again thinking anything of it. And it was only then when I properly found out, I could actually get funding for it, when I was like, yeah, let's do it, I guess. So yeah, and then I signed up, and here we are.
Here we are. And how much money do you get?
So at the time it was different. So at the time I remember the maximum amount was 1,950, which for me covered the Think Pacific fee. So I just had to
Right.
raise money for the flights.
Right.
Whereas now it's different, and also it depends on your household income and
Right.
what sort of loan you get. So for me, I was fortunate enough that I basically can get everything covered.
Right.
Plus if I need money per day while I'm there as well. So that's how it's changed a bit. But yeah, basically.
Right, okay. So in terms of having been to Fiji first, and then
Yeah.
that kind of gave you that travel bug, I guess. and,
Yes.
and you're back to Rozenn, knocking on her door saying, I need some funding.
Yeah, so it basically, obviously I went to Fiji,
Yes.
probably the best month of my life. And then I came back, took me a while to get over it, still am not over it. And then I was going to apply actually at the time for Think Pacific Leader, so I'd go out to Fiji for 3 months and then run my own projects, and I thought I had a really good chance of getting it, but it was so competitive that year, and I remember the day I got told that I didn't get it, I was very upset. But as soon as I did get told that I didn't get it, immediately I was like, okay, well, now what? And I think one of the really good things I've come out of the experience, not just from obviously having the experience, but the opportunities I've had alongside it, where I have worked with Rozenn, the international team, as well as I, at the time, was a Think Pacific ambassador. So I got to know Harry very well, and he was runner of Skilled Summers. So I contacted him straight away, texted him, and was like, have you got any more summer camps going? Probably around this time last year, a bit earlier, very last minute. And luckily, from where I had built up that connection with him, he was able to get me through the process quite quickly. And then Rozenn got another email from me being like, can I have some money? Thanks.
Great networking there as well.
Exactly.
The skills, it's just not having the experience to go abroad, but all the other things that you need for employability, you're sort of displaying there. So what sort of things did you do in Fiji then?
Oh my God, so fun. So it was a sport development project. So I was there for a month. And how it basically worked is in the morning you would learn about their culture. So you would do a bit more culture courses and learn about Fiji as a whole. And then as well as that, what we did is during these sessions, you would collaborate with the Fijian youth. So the youth were age 18 to 35. And you would basically work with them just to kind of teach sessions. And it was more good for them than it was us as well. But also equally, it was good for us because we were working with them and teaching them things. And it was amazing. Like every start of every session, we'd sing a hymn, have a prayer.
Right.
We also lived in the village. That's a huge part of it. You move in with a family and you live with a family.
Yes.
And then you have a volunteer sister as well. If you're a boy, you have a brother. So I lived with my sister Rachel. And yeah, in our family, it was chaotic. We had 7 kids, all under the age of 10. I had an uncle who was like 18. I had my dad, my nan, like we had so many people living under one roof.
Right.
And you basically just get to be a Fijian for a month and just live how they would live, but equally giving them opportunities they wouldn't have if you weren't there, sort of thing.
Sure. What a great experience. And in terms of those adjustments with the cultural differences, how did you manage?
I think at first it was a huge shock. They kind of said it a lot. They were like, "Oh no, it's going to be a shock," but still can't lie. When I remember landing in Fiji, I didn't really know what I got myself into.
Of course.
So I remember getting there, and I'm very fussy with food and stuff. So I was like, remember just thinking, "Oh my god, like I don't know how I'm going to do it." But luckily, my roommate Rachel was just as fussy, so it was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cultural differences was a lot. I think just learning to be respectful of them as well. Like we couldn't have, like girls couldn't have their knees showing.
Yeah.
Unless men weren't there. So when men weren't there, you could. Even things like we weren't allowed to have towels on our heads. So when we came out the shower, we had to walk through our kitchen.
Right.
So I had just to make sure that like I didn't have a towel on my head. The shower, we had cold showers. It was very much like minimal living conditions that you kind of had to live with. But you kind of just got used to it. I had such a great group, and like genuinely, like they're all my best friends now to this day. So you just kind of just embrace it, and you're having conversations with these people that you were in the trenches, like you would never have these conversations with anyone. But yeah, it was difficult, but also you learn to adapt with it quite quickly, because I think you have to be quite open-minded. Equally, they have to be open-minded to you, because we're very different to them.
Of course, great life experience there. So hold that thought. We will come back to talk to you about Camp America, because you're going for the second time, I believe. So we will definitely talk to you about that. I'm going to bring Stan in now. Stan's been very quiet there. He's probably wondering, where is my question? Anyway, so Stan, you talked about you are like the pyramid, basically a triangle sitting in the middle, sort of supporting the students, the home office, really supporting international students with a number of things. So what are the sort of couple of things that you do in terms of supporting students, international students who are coming to study in the UK, particularly Solent?
Well, our team gets involved in all of the stages of a student journey. So if we picture it, the pre-arrival stage where they start applying for the university, trying to get their visa, we do webinars where we support them with those sessions specifically, and we help them prepare all the documentations for the home office, prepare to the life in the UK. For example, one of the things I like to tell them are the plugs in the UK are different.
Yes.
So when you land, make sure you've got one of the adapters if you want to charge your phone, so you don't get yourself stranded on the airport without battery.
Yes.
Once they arrive here successfully, we help them understand the conditions of their visa and how not to breach them, which is quite important. Often we end up getting students who are confused around their working conditions, for example, which is the main topic where students tend to breach their conditions. But we also help them to adjust for the culture shock that they will experience inevitably here. And that's not the inherently negative thing, but it's all something that all people tend to go through. And then when they come to the end of their study, we help them transition out of their student visa. So if they're interested in staying in the UK, we talk about the different opportunities that they have, such as graduate route or a skilled worker visa. Or if they plan to go back home, we try to prepare them about the reverse culture shock that they've experienced.
Of course. Nobody thinks about that.
No one thinks about that, but when you start living abroad, it changes you. So when you go back home, you are a different person.
Absolutely. So then just staying with you for a moment then, Stan, in your experiences, you sort of spoke about, the support that you offer the students pre-arrival with their visa application, so on and so forth. But what tends to be the challenges and barriers? I know language could be one of them, but how do you kind of support them? How do you kind of sort of alleviate some of the fears or concerns that they may have? What's been the sort of main or common challenges and barriers that you've come across in your experience?
So traditionally, the main challenge is preparing all the financial that the Home Office requires. Being an international student in the UK is a huge financial investment and involves a lot of money. It's not necessarily money that you have to pay to the university directly, but it's also money that you need to prepare in your bank account, and there's certain conditions about the maturity of the funds or the origin of the money, so it can get quite confusing. So this is where me and Monica come in hand, and we can help them prepare those financial evidences. a single visa application can be quite costly, so not everyone can afford to have their visa rejected because they end up losing the money if a rejection occurs. So this is where we are interested in making sure that they're as prepared as possible.
Yes.
And recently another challenge that we started noticing more and more are the credibility interviews that the students need to do.
Right.
So in order to come to the UK, you need to have a valid visa, and as part of the student visa process, you have to have an interview with a person from the Home Office, and they ask you very in-depth questions. So they're going to question the students around the course, the knowledge of the course, why they've picked UK, but also why they only picked UK. For example, have they compared countries?
Right.
So why not Germany? Why not Canada?
Right.
And they're expecting to see quite a lot of knowledge around their decision, and they want to see their logic behind picking UK.
Right.
So this is what we try to help students prepare as well.
Right, so would it be beneficial if students put more than one country down, or does it work that way?
So it kind of goes both sides. So they don't want you to only have knowledge around UK. They
Right.
want you to have considered other options, but they don't want you to be over-prepared either.
Sure.
When you talk to the Home Office, you don't want to sound as if you're reading from a script that you've
Yes.
already prepared. So
Right.
it needs to come as naturally. Because I've seen both cases getting rejected
Right.
from their visa, those who haven't prepared and those who've over-prepared.
Right.
So it's a very fine balance, and this is
yeah.
what we try to talk with the students to how to prepare for those interviews.
Well, that's great that international students have that support.
Yes.
Otherwise it is being sort of left in the dark a little bit and having to navigate
Yes,
through that. Yes. So I'm going to come back to you, Stan, in a moment. I'm going to go back to Zoe. So in terms of the sort of the application process for the students that apply through the partnerships, is there anything particular that they need to do, or is it just sort of done through your team particularly? How does it work, the application process?
So this is where I'll move across to
Or you're going to international
office
recruitment.
side,
Yes,
so
yes.
the
Yeah.
recruitment side. So,
Yes.
I mean, I think the best thing to do is start researching the university that you're interested in.
Yes.
What is it that is attracting you to that university? You can then, if you're coming from a certain country, and I'll take the example of India, for example.
Sure.
We have various agents dotted around India. You can look on our website and see who are our approved agents, or you can come direct via UCAS as well, which is the facility that all students come through. Via the agent, of course, you're dealing direct with an agent, and the agent deals direct with us. You then come into our admissions process. So once the application is in, admissions are looking for, different areas. They know what they're looking for. So they're looking for your academics, for example,
Yes.
making sure you have achieved what is it we're looking for the level of degree you're applying for. So for example, your high school, diploma if you're applying for year one, or higher if you're applying for, higher. We're also looking for English. If English is not your first language, we're looking for your English level.
Right.
So we do have approved English language requirements. For example, I am aware lots of students do take the IELTS test.
That's right.
We also accept Duolingo as well.
Right.
And if you're not too sure of anything, you look on the website. Even I've worked for Solent for about 27, 28 years, and I still use the website as my Bible.
Right.
Because that is the most up-to-date area for knowledge. The admissions team do know what they're looking for, so please do trust what is it. If they're asking you for something else, it's because they just need to see it and to add to your application. I think you get into the flow of, for example, your agent will probably say, look, the team are, having a webinar, please join us. Now, we have a team member assigned to different regions
Right.
across the world. So,
Right.
for example, for South Asia, for example, there's Neha and Ravi, for example, and, you would contact them, or they can contact you to speak to you about, if you're having any doubts, or if you need a question answered, or even Stan international support as well. But your agent will also know this
Right.
as well. And your agent plus Solent and the international office are all working together in making sure you have a smooth process across. Then comes in Stan, where
Right.
it's the visas, CAS, etc. So again, everybody pulls together to ensure your smooth process across to us.
Okay, wonderful. That sounds very comprehensive explanation of how the application process work and what to look out for in terms of admissions and, of course, qualifications. Qualifications tend to differ, but you sort of mentioned they have higher school certificates or...
Yes, so again, according to the country that you're from. So, but the admissions team are very well versed in many, many countries. And even if you think, oh no, they wouldn't have my country's qualifications, they do. And so again, please trust in them. They know what they're looking for when the application comes in. And if you're coming through an agent, definitely the agent will also know and be able to advise accordingly.
Right. Perfect. Thank you very much for that. So can I then just quickly just stay with you for a moment then, Zoe? Are there any particular barriers and challenges for students coming from different countries? Can you name a few? If somebody's coming from India, do they face any particular challenges when they're applying to university in UK or maybe Solent, for example?
Yeah, and this is where Stan and his team will come in, for example, with the challenges. And again, it's the culture shock, for some students. And some of it are easier than others. For example, India, I think, Stan and Monica do run sessions to just help them along the way. And because obviously England, we're known for our quirks, for example.
Yes.
Our food will obviously not be the same. So very quickly, if you're coming from another country, it's always interesting how you gravitate to your fellow countrymen.
Yes.
And, you quickly find where the supermarkets just outside the city borders that will offer your food or, the super, grocers, etc. So, I think students overcome the challenges really well. Things, again, homesickness.
Yes.
I remember when I first moved across to the UK. I've come from a close-knit family, and I missed my parents. And again, that's where Stan and the team will come in, and and you get to know the different services that are offered by the university as well. I think culture shock again with regards to I think I've mentioned food already.
Yes.
Just different little, as Stan was probably
punctuality
saying.
is one of the things students tend to struggle with.
Yes.
A colleague of ours from Namibia had to educate me about African time.
Yes.
How often 12 o'clock might mean 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock for some students. This is a big thing that we have to embed in our students, that when we say 12 o'clock, we actually mean 12 o'clock.
Of course, yes.
And queuing. I mean, as I said, we're well known for our quirks.
Yes.
And I think for some students,
Yes.
But, that's all the joys of being an international student.
Indeed. Thank you very much for that. So, Rozenn, coming back to you then, in your experience, would you say, and you say the numbers have been going down in terms of the global funded opportunities, do you get many?
Not in studying.
In studying.
Because the rest is gone higher. Yeah.
Right. Okay, great. But are there any challenges or barriers to students taking up these opportunities? Maybe they're not aware that they're there. They might think it's just for international students.
Yeah, yes. I mean, the main challenge, I would say, is for British-born students is the fear of the unknown.
Right,
Going abroad outside a package holiday in Spain, for example. It's, to be a bit of a cliche, it's just, the idea of going on their own.
Yes.
And to study somewhere or to do something organized that is not a holiday.
Yes.
That is quite scary.
Of course.
And I think studying abroad is the scariest of them all.
Yes,
because,
of course.
It's like doing, starting uni again. So we all know, going to the uni for the first time, you leave home and you leave your parents and you have to do your own shopping and, do all sorts of things, travel on your own.
Yes.
And you have to do that all over again in a foreign country. And that can be really scary.
Of course.
But, our partner university will be chosen with care, and we know that they look after the students. They prepare them really well.
Yes.
And I'm there every step of the way. Students do, when they get to know me, they know I answer email really quickly. I'm really approachable. And if I'm not here, a member of the team will answer the emails as well. It's just, I think they see the opportunity when they see a student like, for example, Gemma, who has done something abroad, and they say, oh, okay, that old lady there's telling me about it, and it's not so interesting, but, Gemma's done it, and that sounds much more exciting.
Great.
When they see somebody like them, who's done it,
Yes.
very much more prepared to do this.
Wonderful.
So we're taking away all the visa and all the things. It's just the first idea that it is the hurdle. I
Yes.
think. Once they think about it, it gets easier.
Gets easier. Wonderful. So Gemma, coming back to you then. So you've been to Fiji, then you went to America last year.
Yeah.
Great. And then you're back to America this year again.
Yeah.
So wonderful to have that opportunity again. So can you talk to me a little bit about how was the experience different from volunteering? Because Camp America is a paid opportunity, I take it.
Yeah, so huge difference. I think, and that's the thing which I think where I had like a bit less patience for some of the kids, because I knew I was comparing it a lot to volunteer. You can't really compare it, actually.
Yeah.
You can't. I always say when people say what was better, America or Fiji, I
Yes.
can't ever compare it,
yeah.
because they are just so different. I think you go from Fiji to America, where obviously we're getting paid to be there, which is unreal in itself. And I think as well the good thing with the funding, it just meant that the money I earned there was actually my money,
Right.
rather than I was working with a lot of people who are international staff as well. I think there was about 30 of us that were international staff,
Right.
who have basically just broke even to be there, sort of thing. Whereas I was like always like, well, my money's my money.
Sure.
So that helped. But yeah, it was a huge difference, because you're then going to a camp where we didn't have to stay on site, which was really good. We got to stay at a university that was about 30-minute drive away.
Right.
So we stayed off site, and then we would arrive there at 8 a.m. in the morning and then leave around 5, 6, depending on when the last kids sort of leave. And then we'd have weekends off as well, which was really nice. So yeah, it was very, very different. And I think, yeah, the kids are very different. You've got kids that come from really privileged backgrounds and who probably have never really been told no in their lives.
Yes.
So then having to try and teach them a session is also equally rewarding, especially when you do have the younger ones. And I think that's the pride I got most out of, is when I taught the 4-year-olds to do a new skill. And when you can teach, always said it was a saying around campus, if you can teach a 4-year-old to do something, get a whole group to listen to you, then you can pretty much talk to anyone.
Yes.
So yeah.
That's
what I'd say.
wonderful. That sounds great. So as Rozenn mentioned, she promotes the opportunities to the students, but sometimes perhaps they think, oh, I'm not so sure. But when they see somebody like you who's done it, so do you help Rozenn? Do you promote? Are you an ambassador for the global funded opportunities?
So there's a lot I do, to be fair. So so I work a lot with Rozenn, and I think, well, final year it's gone a bit less, but because I've been busy with work. But if anyone was to ever talk to me about a global opportunity, obviously I'm the first one to advocate for it. But yeah, I was lucky enough to be a Think Pacific ambassador as well, so for my volunteering agency.
Right.
And then with Skills Summers, I actually have had like a part-time job with them, so I've done a lot of things with them throughout the year, which has also been a really good thing to put on my CV, because again, I'm doing events where I'm going into doing talks, different courses, and just helping out on sort of that side. But yeah, I think the student voice is very important.
Yes.
And I know that I would want to hear from someone who's done it before, because it's very much easy, someone like Rozenn saying, no, you'll be fine, when they don't know, sort of thing. So yeah, and I think as well, I'm passionate about it, so you can kind of tell when I talk about it, and hopefully that pays off.
No, it definitely does. Great. So coming back to you then, Stan, you spoke about one of the things international students may breach their visa restrictions are on working. So international students are allowed to work, though, aren't they, if they're studying in the UK? Can you talk to us a little bit about what the restrictions are, how many hours they can work a week, and does the university offer anything that they can possibly do?
Absolutely. So if a student comes under a student visa and they're doing a degree level course that is longer than 6 months, they will be allowed up to 20 hours a week.
Yes.
The hours are counted Monday to Sunday, and it can be pretty much any type of employment. When you are employed by somebody, you're not self-employed, with a little bit of restrictions around being a sports person or entertainer. So those are the two types of jobs you're not allowed to do. And obviously you're not allowed to be self-employed, so you have to be employed by somebody. Other than that, you can do whatever you want with those 20 hours. They're your studios. And we highly encourage the students to take advantage of that, because it's just an extra income and experience that they can gain whilst they're studying.
Yes.
When it comes to university opportunities, we employ over 100 students as our ambassadors in our department. And we encourage them to get involved in all of the events that are happening around the campus, and we rely on them.
Sure.
So, for example, yesterday I just had a school visit from Thailand.
Yes.
And we needed ambassadors to help accommodate the 35 kids, so welcome them, help them find a classroom, do a campus tour, because they are all campus tour trained and they know the ins and outs of the university.
Of course.
So those are exciting opportunities to get involved with. And this is how I personally got involved in the education. So I highly recommend to our students to get involved in that. And it's nice paid as well.
Yes, it does. Well, yes.
So
in line with the
every
minimum
little helps.
wage. Yes, of course. Yeah, definitely. So those are the sort of opportunities that help through towards employability. So coming back to Zoe and then Rozenn, what other sort of opportunities are there when you are out and about, for example, Zoe, talking about the value added to a degree course? If you want to put your recruitment hat on, what would you say to an international student? What is there that Solent is supporting students with in their degree course to be employable?
Yeah, sure. And I think when we're speaking of, to international students abroad, and of course the UK, England, we're still considered, quite high up in the stakes,
Yes.
Amongst others, maybe even, dare I say it, probably the highest, England is held in high regard.
Yes.
For tertiary education or education on the whole. But I think what can also add to a degree, because obviously I've spoken to a lot of parents in the past and they say, well, why, etc. And I think it's what we add to the degree or within the degree. Yes. So we at Solent are vocationally focused. So we ensure that the student has whether it's a week work experience or we have people coming in. So it's real life, like whether it's live project briefs, for example, or even, a professional qualification embedded in the degree, in the degree
Yes.
itself. And I think that sets aside, for example, one of our very international degrees, maritime business, you do get the chartered status, or at least some papers towards chartered status of shipbrokers embedded in it. For journalism, for example, I know they used to have professional statuses embedded in it, same too for project management. So again, you have that added extra because these professional courses are worth as well outside. If someone from outside were to do it separately, it costs money, but you get that within your degree.
Yes.
Not just that, Solent is very good at networking and keeping in touch with our alumni, and that big credit goes to the tutors. So when the student graduates, they're very the alumni keep coming back.
Yes.
And that should say something to your listeners about who we are. They come back and they want to give back to students as well because they remember what it was like. So you get that, and it's an opportunity for the current students to network with professionals already in the industry who were also students at Solent University.
Wonderful.
So I think that's a couple of the main things that jump out at you. Maybe somebody else has something else to add there, but those are the two main areas: vocational. Added value courses embedded in your degree, as well as the networking, the opportunity to network with your industry while studying.
Indeed, so it's very much that practice-led approach.
That's
that you're
correct.
getting that real-world learning.
I'd like to add also that from knowing, from what we hear from the partners, how when their students have come to Solent for a short term, and then they go back to the university, all I hear constantly is how much support they got from our academics.
Yes.
And Solent is extremely good at that. And I know that our partners, they value the time that their students spend at Solent rather than other, even UK university, because of that academic support that they get. Really important.
So in terms of then the program that you run, Rozenn, the Global Funded Opportunities, how does that add value? And it's probably just similar things to other things that Solent offers. And what would you say, would you measure impact? I mean, we have live impact here with Gemma, but is there any way you've capture that feedback from the students or the partners or organizations you're working with?
Yeah, well, to start with, we do have partners who do give us feedback.
Brilliant.
So we get some lovely emails, even from students. So students who, because obviously I deal with two types of students, those who come to Solent for a short term, and, when they leave us, I often get really lovely emails to tell me how how they enjoyed their time at Solent and in Southampton.
Yes.
Southampton is also a big part of living it, being a student at Solent, and so they really enjoy being in Southampton. Often surprised how nice it is actually to be here.
Yes.
But also, I do have a little survey. Every student that goes abroad has
Wonderful.
to, is expected to complete my survey. So I get data, over the years. I've accumulated quite a lot of data. I mean, there's a star system right at the end,
Yes.
say how many stars. I mean, it's mostly 5 stars every
Wonderful.
time, and it's not me who's doing it,
Of
it's their
course.
own experiences, but I have encouraged them, obviously, and, I'm glad they've taken part. But there's also a lot of studies that have been done,
Yes.
worldwide for the benefits of studying abroad, whether for a long time, which is what Zoe offers for students
Yes.
coming here, or a short time. And I've got 6 points.
Okay,
But
no.
I'm going to refer to my
Yeah,
notes.
of course.
So one is academic enrichment, because obviously
Yes.
if you're studying at a university in the UK and then you go and spend some time abroad, it's going to be very, very different.
Yes.
You could be going to a very old-fashioned traditional university like in Germany or in France,
Yes.
or you could be, going to Spanish university with a very different student
Yes.
experience,
Yes.
a lot of partying.
Yes.
In Spain, which our students enjoy very much, and also living different hours, having long breaks at break time, for example, in Spain. And then you have obviously the new experiences and adventure. I always say, if you're abroad, do enjoy. If you go for a short time,
Yes.
use the opportunity to spend another week or two over there and discover the country outside
Yes.
your volunteering or outside your camp, in the
Yes.
States. If you can, stay longer. So we have a student who's going to Tanzania on a sports project as well, with challenges abroad, and she's going to stay an extra 2 weeks, and she's going to go to Zanzibar, which
Yes.
looks absolutely amazing
Yes.
from the pictures. Also personal growth and independence, obviously doing something away from home, away from
Yes.
your home comfort
Of
and your
course.
country, obviously makes you grow up really quickly.
Yes.
It is life-changing.
Of course.
But then also you put it on your CV, as Gemma said. So career advantages, it gives you a global perspective. All employers, I was going to say most, but I cannot imagine an employer not valuing,
Absolutely.
a global experience.
Yes.
And I keep telling students that not doing it actually put them at a disadvantage, because
Yes.
most university will offer these opportunities. So if
Yes.
you want to put yourself in the very minimum on the same level, you should take up these opportunities.
Yes.
And also networking and relationships. There was a very famous article, I don't know, but a big article on the value of Erasmus a
Yes.
few years back, and they had reached 1 million children because there was 1 million children born out of Erasmus exchanges. So students just going to Europe and marrying somebody else that they had met on the Erasmus. I know plenty of examples. My sister is the first one,
Right.
but I know so many examples. But also, future for your job,
Yes.
and particularly in today's social media, where you can keep in touch with people all the time. It was much more difficult in my days, but
Yes.
these days, students who have gone abroad in the second year, in their third year, the number of students who then go again abroad,
Yes.
throughout their final year, and they don't pay any accommodation because they have a bed in every place in Europe.
Yes.
So they just have to buy the cheap flights, and then they just go and meet up their friends throughout, and it just carries on.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, the list is endless. By the sounds of
Yes,
it. That sounds
absolutely.
wonderful. I'm just going to quickly bring Gemma in, and I'm conscious we're running out of time. So, Gemma, you are in your final year.
Yep.
Just before I talk to you about your final year and what your plans are, quickly, can you just tell me about the benefits that you feel or the impact both the volunteering and Camp America has had for you?
I think you can say that they've had really big impact in terms of they have made my university experience, and I wouldn't have imagined anything like it. And I think for me now, the thought of having what we finished in May, 4 months off where there's nothing abroad that I'm doing, is a really, really weird feeling for me. That's why I had to do it again.
Yes.
But yeah, I just think in terms of getting out your comfort zone, it's made me so much more confident. And I think volunteering and working were two very different experiences. Volunteering, you still kind of have that little bit of a comfort blanket because you're you're doing what you want, whereas working, you have that got that responsibility on you.
Yeah.
And I think the working abroad thing, I would always say that I'm a confident person, but it was only when I was put in that environment, I was like, oh, I'm probably not as confident as I thought. But
Yes.
then once I did get confident, now yeah, you couldn't really shut me up. So yeah, I just think it's one of those things where it really has brought me out of my comfort zone. It's also made me so much more confident in terms of like employability, like what Rozenn said. I think it really does make you stick out a lot. And I think from just being able to talk about these experiences, again, from an employability point of view, you talk about something you're excited about. So naturally, your personality will come across more. So
of course,
yeah. I think it's changed me a lot, basically, long story short.
For the better.
For the better.
Of course. and it is your final year, and you're about to finish in 2 weeks. You've handed your dissertation in?
Yeah, twice. I had to do it. I got it sent back to me.
Oh, goodness me. We won't cover that. No. Tell us about your plans after graduation.
So current plans are I'm going back to America, so I'm going to work there again for 2 months, maybe 3 months. Might do a bit of travelling after. And I think when I do get back, it's just figuring out what I want to do. I think teaching is something I've always been interested in doing.
Right.
So it's kind of done there. I think I'll just leave it as that one. But there is many options, and it is me, so who knows what I'll be doing. But it's exciting.
Great. So just quickly, Stan, then your work with the international students, supporting them pre-application, etc. Can you just tell us a little bit about how the funding works for international students? What kind of fees could they expect? And as you've mentioned, they have to have the funds to come here.
Yes.
Not just to pay the fees, but to show for their living costs as well. So are the fees obviously vary and differ?
The fees are around £19,000 at the moment for undergraduate courses per year.
Yeah.
They do increase based on inflation, roughly, so that's around £500 per year, roughly.
Right.
But they're all stated on the website, so it's nothing. There's no hidden fees when it comes to the university side.
Yeah.
The visa application itself is around £500.
Right.
And as part of the visa application, the students are also expected to pay their healthcare charge, which is around £800 per year that they need to pay. So altogether, a student visa for 3 years comes around £3,500 that they need to be able to pay in advance of those 3 years.
Right.
And on top of that, the money that they need to also show, the government expects them to see around £10,000 in their bank account as maintenance funds. So those are not money that they'll be paying. However, they need to have them ready and prepared to show. That can be in their account or their parents' account.
Right. Okay.
So they can prove that they can support themselves. In terms of funding support, we don't offer any tuition fee support for international students. This is not a standard practice across the UK education system. However, we do have a wide range of scholarships.
Yes.
So, for example, one of them is called Scholarship of Excellence. If they have high enough grades, they will be awarded up to £2,000 that can be either taken as cash or reduce the tuition fees, which is a great way to support themselves. And I believe altogether with various scholarships, a student can achieve around £5,000 support from us. But this is something that they can look up on the website.
And where can they find all this information? On the website, www.solent.ac.uk.
Correct.
/
international.
Wonderful. So just quickly, one tip you want to give an international students when they're applying to university, and particularly to Solent? Zoe?
Research.
Great.
Go on the website. If you are in the country, come and visit us.
Perfect. And Rozenn, one thing you want to say to the students about global opportunities?
Be brave.
Okay. Love that. Gemma? One thing about coming to university and taking the global opportunity.
Take every opportunity that comes to you, and also get involved with as many things as you can, whether that's working as an ambassador or just saying yes to the opportunities that university have on offer. I know for me that's made my experience a lot better.
Brilliant. And finally, Stan.
Ask your mum, ask your grandma to teach you how to cook, because you will want to have that comfort food from back home.
Wonderful.
So true.
Thank you. So thank you very much to my guests today, Zoe, Rozenn, Gemma and Stan. And if we have got an open day coming up, which is in June, which is on Saturday the 27th of June, 2026. So if you're interested, please go onto our website, www.solent.ac.uk/open-days. And thank you very much to all of you coming in this afternoon. And we spoke about all things international, and I hope our listeners found today's discussion informative and insightful and useful. Next up is The Drive Time with Tika Girl. So please stay right here on Unity 101.
Community Hour is aired live